My tips on doing a model railroad layout. Well, I do everything on the cheap. I don't spend a lot of money on items provided by the model railroad manufacturers. Like, for instance, I don't use cork ballast or cork roadbed. I use basically corrugated cardboard that I've cut into strips and I put it underneath the track. And what's the benefit of that? Well, you try to make your basic foundation perfect as best you can. See, this is 1/4 inch underfloor millament. You try to make that right and you use the level. If you got to have an incline, you do your incline according to what you want. And then you put down your cardboard and your track. And if you come across a situation where your couplers don't line up all the time, like right here, one track may be higher than the other, I can take this piece of wood here, I can put it on there. If I can't put pressure on it to compress that cardboard, I'll take a hammer and I'll beat it down to a certain location to get it where I want it. And if I need to raise the track, like see right here, this side was lower than this side, so this is basically a cereal box cardboard. I'll put it in there. And you want to do this before you do your ballast. You want to make it right before you do the ballast. It's very important. I've had situations where I've had to do adjustments afterwards, like right here. What you do is you put a screwdriver, a small screwdriver, underneath which side rail you need to lift up, and it does damage the ballast, and you just have to redo it later. Like right there, I've done something there. I just haven't gone back through to fix it. So anyway, get the track the way you want it, and you don't have any uncouplings or derailments. Sometimes a loco will go over the low track. So that's what this cardboard is, cereal boxes. I cut that up. It doesn't cost me anything. It's what's left over after having a box of cereal. And then I don't know where I got this at, but they do have items that sit over the track for when you're putting ballast on. I just somehow had this, and I made a ballasting device. I'm not going to do any right now, but anyway, you fill this up and you go over it like that, and then when you need to add more, you add more. And then if you're doing in between tracks here and you want to have the nice ballast, I crafted this out of wood. I have 2 of them. It depends on your distance between tracks. But anyway, you see, one is lower than the other. You want to put the high one up front and the low one down low, so it kind of, and I don't have my brush. Oh, here's my brush. And then one more item. This is a index card divider. Oh, I like these. To clean up the edge, you go like that. You can brush. You can brush to a certain point by doing that. And then you go through and you clean this, and you want to keep everything, all the loose stuff up front. So anyway, you get it the way you like it. And I've tried using spray bottles to spray on. I use isopropyl alcohol. I don't use the dish soap. I've tried using spray bottles. What happens is too much spray, it will disrupt your ballast. So I've ended up doing an eyedropper. You put your isopropyl alcohol in here and you wet it down, and it's pretty easy to tell. If it's wet enough, it'll be a darker color. And then wherever you stop, or when you're getting ready to do your glue, because you're not going to know the difference between the alcohol and the glue, and it's 3 parts water. Now you recommend using distilled water to 1 parts carpenter's glue, basically wood glue. You don't want to use the cheap Elmer's glue. You want to use basically a wood glue. So that's what this is. And you mix it up, and I use the old containers that the isopropyl alcohol came out of. You mix it up, and you eyedropper that. and you want to do all the areas that you just went over with alcohol. And when you run empty, you want to mark it. You want to mark where you left off, because you're not going to know. You're not going to know where you left off. And then you fill this up again, depending on your size of container. Fill it up again, and you start off again. Okay? Very simple. And then let me pause. I missed one thing. It's kind of important. If you want to have realistic track, you've got to make it the right color. This right here is actual model railroad tie. What is this brand? I don't have any more of that, but I have this poly scale. This is the railroad brown tie, but it's expensive. So to save money, because I have a lot of track on this layout, a lot, like 50 miles worth of track. This is Rust-Oleum Chestnut Brown. And that piece over there on my branch line, I did it before I put it up on the wall. I painted it, and I did the ballast on the floor because it's kind of hard to reach. And I left off right here. So, of course, it's wintertime now, and I'm not going to paint anymore now. I'll wait until summer, and I'll put newspaper down and everything up against the wall and down on the layout, and I'll paint it again. But that's where I left off. So, you see, I would... the reason I left off is because I got busy doing other stuff. But I've used a lot of ballast on this layout. Let's see if there's anything else I can think of. Pause. Oh, this is kind of important. I've spent a lot of time wiring up my layout. Even on these turnouts, I'll bring a wire up through the hole, that rivet or whatever you want to call that, and put it on the turnout switch or whatever you want to call it. I forget the name of the... Both of them are wired. You can do it before or after, but if you want to do any wiring, it's better to do it ahead of time. Let's see if... And then the other thing is, my layout, I don't use foam insulation board. I don't know why model railroaders are using foam insulation board. I can get up on any section of my layout. See? Hey, I'm up on my layout. I can get up over there in the center of that layout. Why? What if I need to get somewhere? What if I need to do something that I can't reach? I try to make everything accessible that I can reach, you know, but I can't really reach here very well. This is screened and plaster, but you know what this is? I'll show you what this is. Freeway or highway signpost, okay? That's basic structure of my track. Okay, and in between I have screen, but I've also put OSB in between. There's sections there where there's no OSB, it's screen and plaster, okay? But basically, this is structurally sound, and I gotta watch out for screws. I didn't go back through and cut the screws off. It's hard to find the right size screw a lot of times around home. And then, see, this is all wood. Wood and OSB, no foam. And then over here you see angle iron steel. I don't know if you can see it, but that is steel all the way across. I can get up here. Well, you gotta worry about damaging your plaster, but you see, hey, I'm on my layout again. All right? See what I mean? If I need to get somewhere or do something to the wall, I can get anywhere I want, anywhere on my layout. There's more steel over here. And the trouble with wood is, you want to let it age, dry out before you use it, because you can cut up a bunch of wood, and it'll do weird things afterwards. See that? I don't know if I can find a place that's done. Oh, like right here. It's kind of come down a little bit. This was level at one time, but it's come down. So you want to make sure your wood is dry. Leave it in your basement or wherever you have your layout. Let it sit for a while. Because if you go to the lumber yard and buy some lumber and use it right away, you're going to find out it's doing goofy things like right here. Look at this. Basically a 2x4 cut in half. It's basically a 2x4. That's come down since I put it there. So I do have issues. And once you put it on your layout, you can't really remove it. You're stuck with it the way it is. And then this yard right here, I put down ballast across the whole thing, and I took a straight edge and run across the track like a level or something, a straight edge to get it down below the track. And then I took a piece of good cardboard and I brushed across there. Then I brushed, this is all level. I brushed it all the way across with that brush I showed you. And you're going to have cracks here and there where there's expansion area for when things warm up and cool off. You can fill those in later. So, and then if you're doing something on the wall, a lot of angle brackets. I did this afterwards after I painted the wall. A lot of angle brackets on that. But it's solid. You want it to be solid. Foam insulation board is not really solid. And it's hard to, people are using glue to glue down a track on the insulation board. I use nails. See the nails? It's there. It's not going to go anywhere later on. I haven't done this section yet. But you see the corrugated cardboard? If I find an area that I have issues with it uncoupling or derailing, I can make adjustments. I can compress it, or I can raise it with that cereal box cardboard. Okay? It's very, very simple. And here in between my tracks and my coming into the yard, I have the ditch, and I use that piece of wood I showed you. And up against the wall, I just sprinkled in some dirt, and I soaked it with that alcohol and glue again. You can see a little caulk there. I caulked it first because you want to caulk any gaps before you put that dirt in, or else it'll just go down to the other layer. And then this over here, this was really fun when I laid this track. I could barely get my head in here. It's like 9.5 inches. I put a mirror back here so I could see what I was doing. I angled the mirror and I lined up the track. I used a level, a 4-foot level, put the track against the level, and I put nails in it. And of course, there's corrugated cardboard. And then this right here is 1/4 inch underlayment on my intermodal yard. And I put a strip in between the rails and I glued it down. I got to get some Walters My Jacks. I haven't done that yet. But anyway, this is my intermodal yard. So that's basically it. And you get some, I got these before LED rope light was available. These are not LED, but I'm going to get some LED rope lights to replace these eventually someday. So that's basically it. I don't know if there's anything else I can think of. Oh, I used the quick dry plaster from someplace local within 100 miles. A big bag of it. It was really cheap, but it's set up too quick. It's not like the slow plaster. So most of this stuff is that quick stuff, and I made adjustments. I tried not to spend a lot of money on this, so depends on what type of plaster you use, type A or B. Hydrocal is something or whatever they call it. It's been a long time since I've done that, but I gotta go back through. And well, there's 2 different things on here. There's something else, and then there's this. I've completely forgotten. But that little teeny containers that you buy at Hobby Lobby will get you a little ways, which I'm going to do right here. It'll get you a little ways, but to do a layout like this, you're going to spend thousands of dollars on plaster and other stuff. So I try not to waste too much money on it. My wife doesn't really like it when I spend a lot of money on it. So that's basically it. All right, thank you.